Welcome to Ricans. I'm Groovy Bumblebee Lou.
And I am Optimus Mo.
I like that one.
I know. I like that one.
Was cool. That was cool.
Now, if I can pull off a transform and shit.
Okay, we're gonna
transform, go. And then maybe if I don't have a cog. Hello.
My eyebrows went up for a reason. Okay.
Welcome again to another edition. As usual, we're here to talk about everything in the world of fandom, and today, geekery at its highest. But I gotta start this off because I was online checking out, what the scene is and what's going on, and of course hearing nothing but great news and stuff regarding Deadpool and Wolverine. But then came up the controversies that followed. I was looking at this one storyline that had to deal with the fact that Ryan Reynolds had cut the scenes that was done by Tatiana, who played the She-Hulk, and Brie Larson, who plays Captain Marvel. Pretty much cut them out completely because Disney was trying to push the whole woke initiative, showing more powerful, women in charge, women this and women that. And I'm like sitting there saying, wait, what? I understand as far as with Henry Cavill was concerned, and I'm not, defending, this, but I understand with Henry Cavill, he was under a contract. That contract stated that the scenes that he has that will not wind up like on the cutting room floor gone. They'll either be on, in the theatrical release or as part of deleted scenes in the Blu-ray version that's coming out.
Right.
Disney was in a torn because since these scenes between these two ladies are cut out, they were going to leave out Henry Cavill's as well and just be done with that. And Ryan and Hugh Jackman and Levy, the director, and others have spoken up and said, you do that, then you know what? We're not going to do any more work with you guys. We're not going to promote. We're not going to do another Deadpool or Wolverine. No, you can count us out.
That's right.
And I mean, to me, it's only fair. It's true because, this is Cavill, all right? And to me, it's like it leaves a bad impression because, you know what? I understand the a-holes over at Warner Brothers. I remember reading an article where they're the ones who are pushing the ideas and stories and saying, you like it, that's it, you're going to enjoy it, I don't care what you feel. Where I know with Marvel, Kevin Feige is more fan-oriented, fan-conscious of what we watch and what we enjoy. That's why, like this year, or 23 going into 24, with the exception of course, Deadpool and Wolverine, it kind of felt, someone definitely, cock out the bed, and that was it. Because with the Marvels, it was, and then Ms. Marvel, and the fact that, Echo didn't do, Echo was good, but not great. Mm-hmm. It's like, it lacked the Marvel stamp, like I call the Marvel stamp of approval. Because you established it from the day you introduced Blade, then Iron Man, the grandfather of all Marvel movies, all the way through. And yes, I would say in the first 10 years, I would say, two? Mm-hmm. Maybe three, and maybe worse, 3 films in 10 years that were, they were there, but they were in with the exception, of course, Infinity War and Endgame, which, the thing is, you've already set a gold standard. Mm-hmm. That's it. This is people are expecting that from that point forward. That's why Disney made that proposal. Disney brought you into the family, bought and paid for this because they knew, we got something here that's good. And it's the gift that's going to keep on giving. And the returns are going to be, of course, money, because in the end run, you don't invest for the sake of the love for it. You invest because you want money in return for it. It's like, come on, that's a return on investment. And it hasn't been that way. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to say in a kind of way, hypocrisy of it. And I didn't heard the entire speech, but I heard enough of the speech in which I think the CEO of Disney was saying that a lot of productions are going to be slowed down and put to a halt. To the point where
they've been releasing a lot of crap lately.
They have. And everybody been paying attention to,
look at the last Star Wars, The Acolytes. That was kind of crappy.
That, I guess I will say this again. not to defend it, but to say the show had promise, but the execution sucked.
Yes.
That much I'm going to say. It sucked. I mean, if it was just it had, again, because of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they're created a gold stamp as well when it came to Star Wars, because they're the ones that brought it back to life with The Mandalorian, with Ahsoka, Andor. They're bringing back to life and bringing stories that we don't have to wait like years on end to, see another Star Wars this, another Star Wars that.
And this thing was disappointing as well, the Boba Fett.
I'm gonna agree and disagree. I'm gonna agree that yes, it didn't have that
ending.
Good ending that, it was like high up, and then the action, it was like right there, and then it ended, and it's like...
I believe that everybody says that The Mandalorian, the two episodes, it kind of damaged it.
It did, because you brought Grogu back.
That could have been done.
And that should have been done as separate, as The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Yeah, it should have been, because... you brought that in, and then people love Mando, and then they see Grogu, and then you had this whole scene, and you brought in the Mark Hamill lookalike playing Luke, and then you had Ahsoka, and then you're like, wait, am I watching Boba Fett, or am I watching The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Din Djarin, and I'm like, I mean, I did like the episodes following that in the whole battle of the city.
It damaged it.
It did damage
because it brought it up to that hype, and then everybody wanted to see the Mandalorian and these people again, and then to bring it back to Boba Fett, it kind of went. It went from a 10 to let's give it a 6 again.
Yeah, give it a 6, because I understand the concept of bringing Mando in for viewership. Yeah. Hopefully, bring the viewership to the Boba Fett series. But the thing is, it was doing pretty good.
It didn't need him.
It didn't need him. No. I mean, if you brought him in for the big battle scenes or whatever, fine, I'm good with that. But after that, those extra scenes, that get together or reunion with Grogu, that should have been in the next installment that came up. That should have been those 2 extra stories in that fourth season of the Mandalorian. Exactly. Those should have been there.
I agree.
And it would have definitely pumped it up even higher.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the whole idea. It's like you're talking about making quality work, because, you've already seen that the numbers have been falling, your viewership is falling, the numbers are not there, you're spending like $150 or so, with the exception of the Acolytes. That was $180 million you dropped on that. So the sound of the toilet flushing was definitely loud on that one going down. And so I understand your initiative to bring quality work, so you're cutting back, so you're limiting, for financial reasons, you're limiting the amount of films being put out, both on the Star Wars end, on the Marvel end, and shows as well. So you're limiting it to like the 3 and 3. So that way, the money and the budget you have, you focus entirely on creating that which made those particular franchises great. Because, like I said, Dave and John brought the franchise back to life, because the franchise was only about the movies, with the exception of one, which was Rogue One. And after Rogue One, it was like light bulb. Yes. You could create other stories. It doesn't have to include the original cast. Even if even with Anakin and all those other cast members, you still had CP3O, you still had R2
but they made cameos.
Chew. They had their cameos that build that up. But people were always looking for those characters throughout all 9 films. Jar Jar.
Like at the end of Acolytes.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. That was a slip of the tongue. I'm sorry that I said Jar Jar. Please forgive me on that. I will punish myself severely for even mentioning that name. So going back to that, it's like, but Rogue One, I mean, wow. Johnny Yo, yes. Martial arts enthusiast, badass, sitting there. It's like,
one with the Force.
And the Force is with me. I could see that scene 100 times and love it so much. And it's like, damn, I wish there was more. I wanted more of that. And then I was like, light bulb.
There was not one single lightsaber.
Not single lightsaber, but a lot of scenes of great characters, and not only just the character, the story behind it. These guys are the resistance, the beginning. They're on a mission, and you can see the passion behind that mission, what they're willing to do to to stop the Empire. And that's when it's like, to me, like I said, light bulb, and just realized, okay, we can go and create a whole different verse within the Star Wars universe. And you can, and you should. And it shouldn't just be those movies and that's it. And I'm glad, like I said, with John and Dave building the Mandalorian. Mandalorian, boom, Ahsoka. Let's talk about the story of Andor. How the Resistance started, boom. And even though that one started off slow, it ended with a bang.
It built.
And you're like sitting there saying, oh, damn.
That could have been broken into 2 seasons.
It could have, but you know what? At least when the next one comes up, I'm expecting, because again, you're leaving a gold standard right there. You're stamping it and saying, this is how we're going to tell stories. And
but
that's what everybody's looking for.
I feel that Andor should have gotten 8, maybe 6 episodes, and Mandalorian should have gotten the 12.
I'm gonna agree with that because Mandalorian was the number one to come out, and that started the whole Grogu. I mean, before he was named Grogu, and that's when they introduced Ahsoka. I mean, when I saw those as Ahsoka, oh my God, mi pelo todavía están parando. Woo! Stop. Like a lightsaber, bro. I'm lit up.
I liked the Ewan McGregor, the Obi-Wan. I thought that was...
That was another one, yes. Excuse me, but that was another branch. Obi-Wan, that was so good.
I hope they do another one.
And then they had, and of course, what's his name? Reprising his role as Anakin / Darth Vader.
That was awesome.
Oh my God! In both Ahsoka as well as in Obi-Wan. So again, the gold standard is there. The storytelling is there. We, as the viewers, are getting our money's worth, especially if you're paying a subscription monthly for this. You're getting your money's worth. And that's what Disney wanted to see, that return on investment. Mm-hmm. And so on this end, that's fine. Then we go over to the Marvel side. Again, people are now rewatching all the other, 10 films that led up to this, but then, hit the brakes. What's up, Miss Marvel? Marvels? Captain Marvel, or the Marvels, and then Miss Marvel the show, and I'm like, I mean, not to take anything from was it the character's name? Kamala. Cute. I love the whole idea of build, because I know they're trying to build the Young Avengers like they did in the end of the Marvel. They want to bring in Young Avengers, but I think personally, I'm thinking it could have been approached differently. They could have still done that without having to include her in the Marvels with Rebecca. I mean, not Rebecca. She was known as not as Photon. Rambeau. I remember her last name.
Yes.
Rambeau. So, I mean, I like the idea that they opened again the doorway into another universe. That universe you had again the same actor. Kelsey Grammer reprising as well as Beast, but not dressed as Beast. It was a CGI character. And they had a watchtower or kind of like a satellite up in space, so that we're using Shi'ar technology. And I'm like, okay. So they're bringing that comic book version universe there, but the rest of the movie I was like,
I didn't watch it. Kept hearing it was whack.
I watched it and I was like, there are certain moments I was going, oh, okay. And then action sequences, okay, not bad, but that's it. Yeah, I got like, okay. It's not like Endgame. That whole scene, Avengers Mansion, Avengers facility, boom, destroyed. Who were the three standing? You had Captain America, you had Iron Man, and Thor. And then he's just the only one standing out there. It's like he's been sitting there for a minute. And the next thing you know, you hear the thunder crackling. My man reaches out his hands, Mjolnir, and oh my God! And Stormbreaker come together. Him braided up, and he braided on. Let's kill him properly. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. Let's get it on. But when I watched them, I was like, I'll pay you just not to do it. I'll just pay you just to go away. How about that? Just go over there.
We're gonna put Mo to charge for a little bit.
Yeah, I need to charge.
We're gonna go into commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Plugging in.
Timing it.
I'm back and fully recharged. Thank you. Welcome back to another edition of Ricans. Like I said, I'm Optimus Mo.
I'm Bumbaloo.
As we last left off, we were talking about Star Wars and storylines and everything. But I would like to take a moment here and give respect to our most honored, departed, but never will be forgotten stepdaddy, otherwise known as our dark father, Vader, Mr. James Earl Jones.
Yes.
And again, a very saddening loss, to say the least, because that man's voice is so unique.
And it's weird coming from a man who stuttered. I mean, he had a stammering. He stammered a lot.
But he overcome it.
You ever seen the Robin Williams and him? They had a movie and it has a curse in it. And he stutters and then Robin Williams makes fun of him. And then at the end, James Earl Jones basically curses him out. Yo, you gotta watch that thing.
So look that one up. James Earl Jones and Robin Williams. That's a moment, of course, that will be heartfelt and probably hilarious on end to watch, because of course, El Maestro himself with otro maestro of the voice, and I mean, so eloquent in his voice. I mean, how many besides Vader's? Like, I can remember another character. Oh yes, from the first Conan the Barbarian film.
Yes.
I mean, the look with the hair, but the whole thing we was trying to tell them the riddle of steel.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow. I mean, but there's so many other films and so many other credits that we don't even have the time to go over them all. But it's just a rich legacy in history that this man has left us.
I do have a question though. Recently, he sold his voice to Disney. Meaning they have the right to digitize it. Excuse me, and everything. So, did he know?
I think he foresaw it.
It was all a matter within 6 months.
I think he foresaw that maybe, as he's getting older in age, that he wasn't going to be able to do that. And since they did the same thing for Val Kilmer for Top Gun, I mean, the man was able to speak again. Especially, it was always that funny scene that says, "Okay, I got a question for you. Who's the best pilot?" It's like, why? But when he said that, and it's like, and then he was like, "That's digitized." But then I went back and I listened to some of his stuff talking normally. I was like, wow. Yeah. All his voice, his entire voice, everything they could pick up and put it together.
But they used it. But with James Earl Jones, he actually sold the rights to the voice. So his family will forever get paid.
Oh, always. It's probably the smartest movie ever made, because I think he recognized the fact, and you can't lie, that this franchise is not something that's going to be like fleeting. No. This is something that's already have like
depends on Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, yeah, that depends on that one. On that condena con. But that one there is a franchise just like Star Trek, just like any other franchise. It's going to have a longevity. It's never really going to die, because somewhere the fans are always, that fan base is so huge that it's you can maybe go maybe a couple of years, but then at some point, it'll be back. I mean, from the last movie, before The Mandalorian, what were we talking about? What? 10 years?
Yeah.
At least 10 years, and then The Mandalorian surfaces itself. Well, before The Mandalorian, Rogue One, and then a couple of years more after that, streaming started, and then Mandalorian. Same thing with Star Trek. I mean, we didn't see anything except for Star Trek Beyond, and that was like almost another 10-year hiatus before Discovery opened the door to, again, the franchise and Discovery, Strange New Worlds. From there, you've got Picard, and from Picard, you've got, if I'm not mistaken, Starfleet Academy, and instead of a show, movie, Section 31. So that's like, boom, from 4 more different branches of the verse have now opened its doors, because this franchise and the fan base, the fan base, keep it going. You keep it alive. Why? Because we love it. No. We love it. There's no other way of saying it. We love it. We love the characters. We love the stories. We love everything about it, because in some ways, as the saying goes, sometimes art imitates life.
Mm-hmm.
And people might look at you, might like you guys and say, "Oh, that's strange. You learned about life." Yes, because stories have characters. Characters have to have an origin and a beginning of who they are. It's just like none of these like in the old 1940s. I'll use my rope gun to capture you. No. This time you have an understanding of why this person or persons doing what they're doing. You get a sense and an understanding of what is right, what is wrong. And sometimes, let's be honest, the gray in the middle, which teeter-totters to the left or the right. All it depends on how you want to see it.
Here's an interesting question for the audience and Mo. Even our producer in back of the camera. Which franchise do you feel or think have the biggest following? Whether it be Star Trek, Star Wars, Batman, anything. Avengers. What do you think has the biggest following? The biggest...
following, I will say this much.
You think so? Just because of the language. I'm sorry, your name, sir?
There you go. Thank God. But it's a cross between two. And the reason why is because I followed these two very tightly. The longest franchise, because I remember I went to a buddy's film club, and it was around the night of the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And one particular movie won for Best Special Effects, which blew our minds. But there was a question he had in between for all of us. It's like, what is the longest running franchise in history? And people were saying Star Trek, Star Wars, none of those.
Which one was it?
Godzilla.
Wow.
Godzilla is the longest running, 1945 at least, and I can be wrong, but I know it's somewhere in the 40s. So from that point, and we're talking about over 80 years. And I've come across when I'm at the comic book store, Forbidden Planet. Not that I'm plugging it in, but I'm just telling you where you go. And I found a magazine that I collected a couple of years, and it's called G-Fan Magazine. And G-Fan talks about how people connect and relate through Godzilla, which is their love for the franchise, their love for the big G-Man, and all the kaiju monsters that follow. And they get together, and just like Star Trek fans get together and Star Wars fans get together, we sit, we talk about the show, we relate, we talk about the characters and the things that we love about it. That's why it's like I would say Star Trek and definitely Godzilla. Those are the two for me. Star Wars comfortably fits into a third. And with superheroes and Marvel and all that, which is fairly new, but as far as comic books concerned, then I would say it's a between Star Trek and Star Wars, because comic books have been around since as far as the 40s.
Actually, I was doing an auction the other day. They've been around before that, 1880 something.
And that was when there were more newspaper articles in the small comics before they became like full-blown companies, DC, Marvel, Image, Valiant, Boom Comics, so on. I mean, it's like in the beginning you had the two giants, or at least you had the one, DC, and then next thing Marvel came along. And then after that, people went independent, but then when they went independent, the characters they brought up also raised it up. You know, Valiant being another one of them. Image with oh my God, with Invincible, and now it's TV series. So yeah, I mean, there is so much. But as far as longest and most talked about and most faithful, I mean, I won't say faithful fans, just an abundant size of fans throughout the years. Definitely, I would say Godzilla's right up there, because like I said, it's over 80 years and people rushed. I mean, even the MonsterVerse. I mean, the last one I mean, they were doing some great box office numbers, and they got another one coming along.
So here's my next question.
Shoot.
You brought up something. Who do you think you relate to in any of those franchises? What character can you relate to? In anything?
Wow.
Like for me, because of my situation, I love the Superman. because he tries to be something he knows is impossible. He can't never be, which is normal, which is human, normal.
My first love was in comics was always Marvel before DC. And again, I agree with you when it comes to Superman. Mine was Iron Man because playboy, philanthropist, guy's got money, he's all over the place, but he's also a hero. And throughout the years, he's disguised himself and gotten away with trying to say that he's not Iron Man. But he had more plausible, deniability, because even one time he created a telepresence suit that was hollow, and now the people saw him together and they were like, oh, he is an Iron Man. But then later on, he admits it. Superman was a little different. All it had to take was taking off the damn glasses and changing his attitude, and boom, that was it. I remember seeing College Humor, in which they had actors playing the part of Superman and Batman, and then Commissioner Gordon showed up. And Commissioner Gordon was ripping into Superman. It's like, all it takes is just you wearing a pair of glasses. I knew you were Clark Kent all the time. I'm like, you think a pair of glasses is going to change? Look, I'm going to take them off. Oh, I'm Superman. And then the idiot Batman was like, where's Commissioner Gordon? Oh my God, who are you? And then he puts the glasses back on and he says, oh, you're back.
Yeah.
So it's funny, but I looked at Iron Man, and it's like he's about as real as they come, and he had his addictions, and he developed a moral core, to say, because in the beginning it was all about the money. I mean, he was a war profiteer, I mean, but again, was he doing it for the sake of hurting people? No, he was just trying to keep the U.S. safe and giving them the best chances with weapons or whatever. But when he finally realized what those weapons were doing, that's when he took a step back. And created a moral core. I mean, one time he failed at saving someone, and that ate him away. And there's like a year at least of issues in which Jim Rhodes played him, and nobody knew who he was, and he kept the mask on and was still playing Iron Man, while Tony Stark was a whiner on the street, drinking his life away. I'm surprised he didn't have an exploded liver with all the stuff he was drinking, but there it was. And you see him at the lowest that any human being could be, until some point, demonstrating that at some point, when you really hit rock bottom, that's when you snap and you come back up. And he did. And he had this comeback where he slowly raised up, and came back to being who he was as Tony Stark again. So yeah, I would say if I had to relate to a character and understand, not that I've had any trials and tribulations of that magnitude, but growing up in Spanish Harlem, during the time where drugs weren't a fad, they became something, to say the least, a danger. When people that I recognize don't recognize them anymore. It's like, I saw this guy a couple of times, or matter of fact, a girl, and she was gorgeous woman, head to toe. And I was a young man. I was like saying, damn, I wish I was her age right now. All that. And then no less than 8 months later, the same woman, but just emaciated, wasted, begging for change, or even offering herself just so she can get her next fix. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's about as low as you can go. And then years later, she came back. She came back more cleaner, but but you could see the scars of her transition from where she was to where she is now. But you can see the scars are there. I mean, she's not the same. I mean, not the exact same woman that was like the gleam in every man's eye when she walked by. Like, oh, wow. Now it's like, oh, hey, not that same thing. So, in relative to comics, I would look at that, and there's so many other stories and other characters in a way that I would say I'd look at and I related to, because again, art imitates life, and a lot of the life that I was living and watching from, as far as drug addiction, racism, all those two things, comics had a way of presenting the story so that I understood what that was about from a fresh perspective, from the writer's perspective outward, rather than someone who is watching something but not really understanding it. It's like watching a YouTube video sometimes of, police officers doing their thing. Sometimes you're watching at that very moment and you're saying, oh, that's wrong, but you don't know what it led up to. You just formulated an opinion on this. But if you understand it from the very beginning to this, either you can say that's wrong or you can say that's right. Not 100%, but yeah, I would say definitely comic books. Star Trek is a definite second, and number one, Godzilla is my first love.
Okay, and with that, we will come back again very, very soon. For now, we're going to put Motor Charge again. Welcome back to Ricans.
Lou?
Feel charged?
Oh, always. Nice little juice. And put this cord back so nobody doesn't see it. So, getting back to your question, yeah. I mean, I relate to those three the most, because I grew up with those three the most. It was like not until the late 70s that, with Star Wars coming in, that's when I related to those characters as well. But when going into your question, like which character, I mean, like I said, with comics, it was Iron Man. With Star Trek, a little different, because with Star Trek, it was a lot of the science that I needed to understand what they were doing, because I understood the mission, seek out new worlds, new civilizations, and all that, and it gave me a broader understanding when it came to cultures. Yo soy Latino, I'm Puerto Rican, and we have our culture as Puerto Ricans. But, and if you look in the Latino community, some of it are similar, but then some differentiate from each other. You can't say the same about Brazilian. Sometimes we might mirror some of the same cultures, but our foods are different. Definitely. Similarities, but different in their approaches. Traditions are also a little different, especially. And the same thing could be swear, same of Ecuadorians, Mexicans, Peruvians, all of them. So you had to understand where I looked at it when I watched Star Trek now. It's like approaching someone, especially that is different from me in the sense of learning and understanding, where most people would be like, he looked funny. He looked weird. I don't like that. I don't like that look or whatever. And then now you fear, and now when you fear, you want to, cause malice because you fear it. Instead of approaching it with the sense of fascinating. You do this and you say that, and then you want to learn and engage.
Wouldn't it be cool if they came out with a starship, USS Rican? And then instead of saying go warp speed, go Rican speed.
There you go. No. Instead of like how what's his name? How Captain Pike says, hit it. And you do the Spanish, dale. Or better yet, or even just go, Weba! And you point like John-Luc, Weba! And you take off.
That would be dope.
That would be dope, bro. You hear some Mark Anthony music as you're going, boom, and you're going to warp speed, That would be cool. But you see, with that's where you look at, it's like the Enterprise.
The shuttlecrafts.
Shuttlecrafts, Hector Lavoe. There you go. See, you got those character names right there, bro. Gran Combo, all of that. Oh my God! But you could take that show, and that in a sense, this show is about, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm looking at it in the sense of the American melting pot, the way it was in the very beginning in the late 50s, when the doors were open and immigrants are coming in. You look at it that way. That's Starfleet. That's United Federation of Culture. We are the United Federation of Culture, And that's what Star Trek represents to me when I see that, about culture, about reaching out and understanding yourself through them. Because I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, we are one race, human. Are we different? Yeah. Tall, short, big, small, all of that. And from the Aborigines, from the Aborigines to the modern day human being and the cell phone and all that, we have certain differences and cultures and things that we adhere to that was passed down from generations till now. So in that sense, Star Trek teaches that, gets you an understanding of that, broadens your mind so that when you look at something, you're not going, that's disgusting. Because that, it's like, you know what? That's life. Everything on this earth is just that, life. It behaves a certain way. Best to marvel and appreciate what it is than to look at it and go, that's disgusting. No. You don't like it, you don't have to love it, but respect it. Now, with Star Wars, as even though they say it's kind of like I'm gonna pause for this look. I'm gonna plug you up and charge you. So in that respect, with Star Wars, they always said it's space opera. It's really not. It's not space opera because when you look at it, they have the politics, which sometimes, even in today's society, we have to understand greatly, because politics are about personalities and the people who step in, and that personality, and when you're looking at that person, say, I want to follow you. It's like, that becomes a big question.
Yes.
Hence, when you brought to me the first time, do I want to be the light side or the dark side? And I always said, it always boils down to the moral compass on each side. Powers have nothing to do with it, because each one demonstrated that they can do each other's powers. So there's no separation of powers that say, oh, you're dark if you do this, because some light force wielders did the same thing that are supposedly considered dark. It's just the moral compass of it all. Whereas, are you the guardians of freedom, truth, and justice? Or do you feel that as far as the galaxy is concerned, it should be peace is garnered through power? So you raise up the ranks, you build the armies, and then from that point forward, you create a world of martial law that says, you're not going to do this for this, this, and this. And you're not going to do that because this is what's going to happen. And so I will garner peace as long as you do that. Where on the other hand, they say, no, it's about freedom. It's about understanding. And no, you shouldn't be telling me what I shouldn't do as long as I'm not crossing a moral line. Murder is murder, period. I don't care how you look at it. Murder, boom. You get, I don't care what crime of pat. No, you still took a life, and indifference to it, you should be punished like anyone else otherwise, whether it's on the Empire side or that of the Guardians of Freedom. So in that essence, that's what Star Wars represents to me, because they're always, no matter what happens, boom, there's always some sort of invading force that's trying to, how can I say, enclose, entrap the entire universe to their rule and their rule only. And they will always meet a resistance of people who say, no, freedom, justice, that's what we believe in, that's what we're going to fight for, to the very life and end. Godzilla, on the other hand, is different. Godzilla is a force of nature that was created out of war. And that force of nature is now going, it's like your worst fears coming true. Now it's like you want to know, it's like F around and found out. You effed around and found out. You created a nuclear bomb and you tested it and things blew up, and guess what came out of the water? And now you're like, oh damn, and then nothing you're doing is actually stopping it, but you're only making it stronger. So it's man's arrogance, man's arrogance. I don't care if they're Chinese or Japanese, it's still man's arrogance and the disrespect of nature. That's how I look at it from that respect. When I look at that story, it makes sense to me that that's what it is.
It does.
The more technologically advanced we come to help people, but also the more destructive we come with that technology to the point where one button and we can eliminate life on this planet completely.
No,
And that's the scary part.
it makes sense. But, ladies and gentlemen, watch Mo's face change. Kong is better.
He would have to go with the ape. He had to go with the ape. There's the part where I tell you to turn around, I'm gonna slap him with a banana.
I'm always going against Mo. But yeah, no, it makes sense, Mo. I like your definition of that.
Because there's never a story when, I mean, even in today's MonsterVerse, they changed the narrative, but it still is the same thing. Even though man's arrogance created these monsters, but they created the whole narrative that these monsters have a purpose. Godzilla balances nature. So anything that's unnatural,
he's gonna come after.
He's gonna come after it. He's gonna put it in its place or take it out. That's it. That's Godzilla. This is where you are. Follow the rules, you'll be fine. Mess around, you're out. Done. And whereas before even the MonsterVerse came into rule, because like you said, your favorite, the monkey, was the protector of man. Okay.
Put some respect on his name.
No, he's a monkey. Either way, he was a protector of man. Godzilla is the protector of nature. Whereas before the MonsterVerse came in, Godzilla was a force of nature, and no matter how hard, no matter how many how technically advanced the weapons they use against him, it always never prevails. Just when they thought you had him, nature has a way of saying and bam, changed everything. And it's like, don't mess with nature. Mother Nature has a way of messing things up for you.
Wouldn't it be cool to see a Tarzan Kong team up?
I don't even want to know how that got birthed, even in just saying that.
Think about it. The jungle, King of the Jungle, he's King Kong.
Yeah, he's gonna have the little guy here, because he's not gonna hear him unless he's close to his ear. Okay.
True, very true. But that would be, I don't know. I think it could happen.
It would be interesting, to say the least. But
That wasn't one of my better ideas, people.
No, because if they make him a blonde, he's in trouble.
Yeah,
because we know Kong loves blondes.
He's gonna be yelling.
He's gonna be in trouble after that, and the loincloth is not gonna hold up, to say the least. Okay.
Not at all.
But like in the comic book that I was recommending, I think a couple of weeks back when I said the Justice League versus Kong versus Godzilla. I mean, that was, again, great storytelling because of the Wishing Stone, they brought the MonsterVerse into the DC universe. Then you had that standoff between Godzilla versus Superman. And what it boils down to, that, as I said before, Godzilla is the protector of nature. Anything that's not part of nature is in imbalance. And he sensed Superman was in imbalance of that nature because he is an alien. He sensed him. That's why he came to Metropolis. He came to Metropolis to wreck it and find the alien and put the alien out. That was it, because that's his purpose. Kong, on the other hand, again, as a protector of man, he was there, and he then, because of, I think, Supergirl and then Green Arrow, he realized that man needed his help. And at the end, he became part and helpful with the Justice League in stopping the Legion of Doom. So again, great storytelling when you put it all together in that respect. But there is an aspect where you look at it and you just, say it really doesn't take much. People just always make the mistake and say, it's a comic, it's a cartoon, it's an anime. No, art imitates life. There's some believability to it if you take the time to understand what the purpose of this character is and what it's doing. And you'd be surprised, like, oh damn, you can relate to it. You can relate to it. It's not like just because he's a 200-300-foot green monster doesn't mean you can't relate to his rage of the fact that man has destroyed the ecosystem, and now he's just getting back at them for destroying that which he's supposed to protect. That's very. It's a very simple equation to that.
Yeah.
And people just look at, oh, he's a monster.
No, he's not.
You know,
There's a purpose to that monster.
there's a purpose to that monster. You just don't. You don't look. I mean, yeah, for some other people who don't want to really just like try to understand it and look for it just as pure entertainment value. Yeah, it's like I said when I first watched Godzilla X Khan, it's like, oh, excuse me, Godzilla -1. One of the very first movies that I felt everything about that story. Now, normally when you watch the MonsterVerse fight, it's like, you know, monsters, yay! And then, people talking. And they go, monsters, yay! This one was very heartfelt. This one told the story after the war, and these people were really reeling, and then all of a sudden, because of their arrogance and the weapons that were used, now something else is going to make things worse. But
this commercial. This commercial is going to make things worse,
Mm-hmm.
and our producer just gave us the finger to this commercial. We'll be
A
right back.
finger.
Oh, I'm sorry, A finger.
A finger.
I thought it was B finger.
Come, let's play. LDM Radio. Come, let's play. Fun is what we crave.
Let's go. You're listening to New York City's LDM Radio. Another long stretch of continuous music. Back into time. Flashback.
Make my move, gonna live my dream, gonna live my
New York City's LDM Radio.
The best radio station in the world is right here, right now.
Hello, I'm Juiced Up, and we're back for another edition and another talk.
I'm not juiced up, but I'm here.
So, as we were saying before about the question, and I think last I was talking about with Godzilla and just man's arrogance, and then changing the narrative to now man's arrogance, but now it's more based on nature taking over and keeping things in line. Hence why the Justice League and Godzilla versus Kong versus the Legion of Doom, because they were a part of that as well, became so good to read because that story just it hit points on that story that you watch it. You had your action, you had the understanding of what the monsters were doing, what they were doing, and of course the protagonist trying to find a way to take over everything, but yet in the end failed. And that's all there is to it. Like every good story, should have some sort of a meaning behind it so that people can understand it. Going back to that ever first discussion we had regarding Thanos, like would the audience, just the general audience, would understand that Thanos is collecting the rings and causing all these types of genocide for the love of a woman. We already know how that's going to work out as far as women. But why? What's that? Why had to do it for a woman?
Yeah, but the woman was
Deaf.
She was very thin.
Well, other than that, she was
Bony
deaf. He likes the skinny. I like mine with meat on it. Hello. I'm not gonna sit there and gnawing on a bone. No, hell no. You get nothing. You gotta have carne. Excuse me, with the R. You gotta roll the R's. Carne. But people wouldn't understand that, and it's like, are you serious? But then you put it into the cinematic world, and you get people to relate to that character by saying, okay, he's kind of crazy, but I understand where you're coming from. There's not enough food and enough resources. It's like instead of birth control or whatever, everything's out of control. So I don't agree with it, but I understand what you're trying to do, but I don't agree with it. Genocide is not the answer. It could have been some other way, but I understand what we were trying to do. Again, good ideas, bad intentions.
Mm-hmm. We're always going back to that.
Yeah, because it's oh god, it's a recurring theme, but unfortunately we still haven't really learned yet. I mean, we're still going in a roundabout circle these days, like from the very beginning where I was talking about the fact that Disney, with Henry Cavill, not doing this, and they should do that, but then cutting off, again, Brie Larson and Tatiana, those characters, from the movie, so that way there's not an overflow of something. Just tell the story. I mean, for me personally, I was like, I have no disinterest, or excuse me, I have no animosity with the whole idea of. I understand where the woke is coming from.
Disney tried that once. Remember when what's her name sued them?
Oh yeah,
and won. What's her name?
For Black Widow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she won.
She won, but she won because they decided to put the movie out not only in theaters but on their streaming platform. So they had both. Now, if people didn't want to go to the theater, they could go at home. But the thing is, when they pay that one price,
it was during COVID time.
It was during COVID time, so people didn't go out as much. So people were paying the monthly subscription, which kind of actually paid for itself even more and more. So money on this end was getting higher, but they didn't put that in the contract that she would get that. And it's only fair to her, the actress who portrays the part, who put her input in there, excuse me. She put her emphasis. She played the character. Everybody loves the character. They went out, for those who went out to theater and paid for it. But then the ones who paid for it at home, she should get a cut of that because A, it is her character. She's the one. Scarlett Johansson is Black Widow. Mm-hmm. That's what people didn't go out just to see Black Widow. They want to see Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. And so she deserves that. And yeah, that made sense. Now, in this instance, it was, even though Ryan wrote the story and but the thing is, the input was, oh, you got to have this, you got to put in that. And I'm like, Disney, look, Marvel has enough female superheroines. If you want to feature another one other than Captain Marvel as a solo, you got a litter and a pick to choose from. Trust me when I say this. But to then always have to include a story, come on now. I know we live in the modern times, but there's a whole thing about too much of a good thing.
They should do a Captain Carter.
I mean, they did have one season of it on ABC.
Captain Carter, not Captain Carter as.
Oh, you mean Captain Carter as in
Captain America?
Captain America Carter, yeah. Instead of the What If series, they should do
it live action.
Yeah, they should do an alternate universe. I mean, it's not hard to create a story where an alternate universe, somebody crosses over, and bang, all of a sudden, here's Captain Carter. You're looking for Captain America, you come across Captain Carter. Yes. Well, hey, there you go. Tell your story.
Like they did in Deadpool when everybody thought that was Captain America and it was Johnny Storm.
Oh, that was so good.
That was hysterical.
Hysterical. He's
going to say it.
He's going to say it. And then he goes, Avengers, and he goes, flame on. What the? Yeah, exactly. And that was beautifully done. I mean, and then all the scenes that follows. I mean, this was a movie purely to tell a story. People love to watch the two, Wolverine and Deadpool. And yes, the cameos were great. Elektra, Blade. I think, and I won't lie, I've seen it 3 or 4 times. And each time, audiences lost their minds when they saw Blade walk in.
Now that you say Blade, that's still a go. With Mahershala, whatever.
Mahershala?
Yeah. I read today, as a matter of fact, before coming, it's still a go.
It's still a go, but I've also read that he's also at the point of walking away from it.
Yeah. But
But at the same time, Wesley Snipes' Blade has gotten a new resurgence of life, and people wanting to see him play the part one more time.
He's too thin.
Nothing more. There's nothing that says, yeah and no, but at the same time, I would say it would have to be a movie where the torch gets passed over, if that would be the case.
So you're saying that the Blade is not his name, that's just a...
Blade of this universe coming in contact with the Prime universe's Mahershala and say, boom, Because remember, they're doing Secret Wars.
Yeah.
So there's always the component of alternate universes clashing and combining. So if that be the case, passing the torch on from Wesley Snipes' blade of, say, this particular Earth to Mahershala of the Prime Universe and continue. I mean, if you had to tell a story like that and introduce, I mean, that's perfect. There you go. Here, listen, here, Disney. Mira, ratón, te está oyendo. Tell that story. You're waiting for a director. You're waiting for a script. There you go. There's your story with Secret Wars. The two get together. He passes on whatever. Bam, the torch. Bang. Money in the bank. I would throw money at it like it was a stripper. Swear to Jesus.
And not to change the subject, totally, this is like a 360 here.
Mm-hmm.
By now, I'm pretty sure 80% of the public has seen the movie.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen Quiet Place? The last one.
Quiet Place? Oh yeah,
Now,
I love that story.
I love I love all the movies. Now, you mean to tell me that in this movie it was all about a pizza?
A pizza and a cat. Don't forget the cat. The cat was like the main character of this film, but it just told a different story, which I kind of understood it.
A pizza.
A pizza, yeah.
What the?
Well, she's dying. That's what she wants. That's the last thing that she wants, and she knows she's dying. So, I mean, it's kind of like the bucket list.
You have aliens coming down, making a noise, you die, but she wants a pizza.
Yeah.
The most noise-making thing when you bite it.
Wait, unless you heat it too much and it's extra crispy, you're done.
Yeah.
But if you have it and it comes like this, okay, nobody's going to hear nothing. You're going to have cheese and sauce, unless it's hot, and then you scream because of the burn.
Right.
That happens.
Right, but
Once.
I was upset because the whole movie to me was all about a damn pizza, and it couldn't be just any pizza.
Nope.
It had to be from that one particular restaurant.
Yeah, I mean there are particular restaurants, and I'm not going to go into the whole war of pizzas and who has the best.
Ray's.
New York, Ray's, just to say, sorry Los Angeles, sorry everybody else, Pensy and all those other places. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
The corner right there.
Oh my God, the sausage cheese. That's what my God used to say a lot. Oh, God rest his soul.
So
But-
if that ever happens, well, me and you got to go down there and get pizza before the aliens kill us.
Damn straight, bro. I'm gonna sit right next to the oven.
We'll even take our producer guy.
Yeah. We'll be stuffing ourselves with pies. I don't care.
Darth
Quietly,
Vader,
but definitely we'll have a food source. That's for sure.
yeah. 'Cause that
As long
was-
as we don't sing, then we're all right.
That was the most. I was so disappointed with that part. I was so disappointed.
I got this. Look, from the story standpoint, I understood it. It separated, everyone else, and it just decided to tell a story about a woman who is dying
Who wants pizza?
and wants pizza. Her cat, which survived everything.
Yes.
He survived everything. I'm like, damn. I mean, he had more than 9 lives. He had 18.
My God.
He was times 2. He had 18.
There was
lives.
times I was rooting for the cat. Like, holy shit.
Hell yeah, I was rooting for the cat, bro. I was rooting for it. I was like, don't meow. Don't do any of that.
And he knew.
He knew.
That cat was smart. Because
Smart.
when he was with all them.
Mm-hmm.
Yo.
It's like a photo I've seen once, and it's hilarious, where there's a bunch of cats, and they're looking at you and say, well, it's like, I know dog is man's best friend, but the dog will always lead you to the drugs in the house, but we won't.
I like that.
That's cats for you. But but talking about this movie, it's like it kind of it developed into somewhat of a love story. I mean, if you look at it that way, where a man who should have been dead,
Yes.
by all respects, I mean, it's like, dude, how do you survive?
Even the cat looked at him. Wait, what are you?
No, I thought he was gonna do like a pippity pap, like shut up. Mira, cállate la boca.
I expected him to die at least halfway through the movie, especially in that sewage thing with the rat. I was like, he's dead. He's dead.
I would have thought the same thing too, but it's like wow, you survived.
Yeah.
Something tell me, but then that whole survival, development of
And it
friendship
tied it up.
and then love.
It tied it up to the second movie very well
Yes, it did.
because this is when you look at it, it's the first ever. So it tied it up well with the dude that was at the boat, that establishes the island.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
did.
It's creating a verse where it's
Yes.
not pertaining to the original characters in any way, but it's branching it off, showing that there are other characters and other stories to tell us what's happening. I mean, it could be another one that comes up. It could be telling about another invasion somewhere else, because this was a global invasion. It was just not New York. It was a global invasion. You know, who knows? Maybe they'll go south and into Redneckville. Now, they might not have a survival rate because they like to shoot their guns and scream and yeehaw. Next thing you know, they're done.
But my
Except the
favorite,
moonshiners, because they were too drunk.
my favorite part was when they were all walking in Manhattan trying to make it to the boat.
Yes.
They were all right. You mean to tell me that they walked blocks and blocks without being hurt until they met her?
Oops.
Come on.
Oops.
Come on.
I was like, I'm like, these guys had great hearing. You know what I mean? That at some point they didn't hear the.
Listen, I would live by the ocean all day. They can't tell the difference between you and the
Well,
ocean.
ocean water can mask all the and shoots out of you, bro. But if you're in the streets and it's dead quiet, that's you, bro. You're done. They're gonna hear it. They're swoop down it. They don't have to smell you. They just have to hear you.
Exactly.
And trust me, the sense of smell is poor, but the hearing, even a little raton is like tightening up as he goes down into the sewer.
You know, it's funny. The rats didn't get hurt.
No, they didn't get hurt.
You would think the cat
It
would.
was a small meal, bro. That's like,
You would think the cat would take a rat, but.
You would think, because he's the only cat that I've just seen around there and like looking at it and going like, damn, I'm in an all-you-can-eat.
No, he wanted a pizza too.
Yeah, well, pizza's good. Pizza's good. Sometimes, you can go from being carnivorous and being Italian at the same time.
After I saw that movie, I wanted a pizza. I ain't gonna lie.
I went and got a pizza. Actually, tell you the truth, I'm not screwing around. It's like, I bought a pizza at the theater watching the movie. When I saw the pizza, I was like, well, great minds think alike. I just ate my pizza.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to enter a quiet place till the next time, next week, next show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Bumblebee Lou.
I'm Optimus Mo. Transform and roll out. That'd be you.
That'll be me. I'm the robot.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on the back.
We out.
Can you give me a ride? It's like,
We out.
All right, bro.
We out like this.